Hi guys, I'm Concha. Thank you for joining me today for the debut of While We're Awake podcast. This is the place where spirit, logic, and our 3D realities come together to create something beautiful. Today I have Miss Sierra sitting in here joining me, and we are also celebrating the debut book While We're Awake, available on Amazon Books and Apple Books. And because the culture is very much alive here, we will be celebrating properly.
Hey.
Woo! All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Miss Concha, for having me on your podcast. I really, really appreciate it. I did read your book. I absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to talk with you about it as well. You made a lot of really, really good points, and I think these people at home, subscribers, YouTubers, are really going to love what you have to say and are going to be very, very intrigued and engorged in the conversation.
All right. By the way, not sponsored by Ace of Spades, but
Ace of Spades. So first of all, cheers to your book.
Clink, clink,
Congratulations.
clink, clink. I love the clinks. So, on today's topic, we will be talking about, drum roll, freedom. What is freedom to you? What does it mean to you? How do you define it?
What is freedom to you? I mean, first of all, you're the one who wrote this book. You expressed a lot of thoughts, a lot of emotions into this. So what does freedom mean to you in general?
Freedom to me is love.
Okay.
Freedom is the ability to be yourself to the fullest.
Okay.
And knowing that you're loved regardless.
Okay.
In any situation.
Okay.
So rather it be a relationship situation, life path, career, knowing yourself, inner enlightenment type deal. Like you know that you're going to be loved on that authentic path that you're on. And that is freedom to me.
Okay. I can see that, definitely, absolutely. And I can concur to that as well, because freedom, a lot of people are, I don't want to say sheltered, but kind of boxed in, and they try to fold or putty themselves into a lot of people's ideas of what they should be. And so they're not really free. They either got to quote unquote walk on eggshells or suppress what they have to say about certain things, about the way they feel because of other people. So, yep, freedom, I can definitely concur to all of that. So the freedom that you have to be yourself, to go get that job, or to go get that love, or to go get the money, basically. I mean, anything in life, which is what you just said. The freedom to be yourself, and a lot of people withhold that within themselves.
I also believe the withholding aspect of it has to do a lot with the guilt and the shame of letting those people down around them that built that certain life around them.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because for me to live authentically and be who I want to be totally, that means I would have to bust this facade of who we agreed that I was.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So absolutely. To a certain extent, I have to let you down.
Yeah.
I have to bust your bubble.
Yeah.
So it's like two people rearranging everything that they thought that they knew.
That is facts. 100% facts.
But not to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But even within that, I really do feel that because I label freedom as love, right? And let's say I find a new path, I find a new way of being. And then I come in and I bust your bubble, right? I come in and I have to bust your bubble. It should still be that love there.
For love for yourself.
That love there, period. That agreement of that love that you and that said individual had. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
You following me here?
Okay.
To be able to adjust.
Okay. Now I see what you're saying. 100%.
Because it's two people unlearning.
Yes. I don't know if it's so much unlearning as well, or as far as like these two, like if you're talking about relationship aspects, finding or love and having that freedom as well. I think it's two people who are strong enough and strong-willed to have these, like you talked about in your book, these set boundaries. And now we're not going to use that word loosely, but having those boundaries of, okay, this is what I'm going to gain. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. This is what I'm trying to do with my life.
But they change. People are variables.
Yes, people do
People
change.
are variables. That's something that you can never have a set agreement on because people are variables. It's like, it's no way that you can ever foretell.
Yeah.
You know, you can't strategize a person.
Right, exactly. And that's when, so what do you give up then? Okay, so if you're looking for love or if you're looking for freedom, now freedom, I mean, me speaking myself, I'm going to say personally, me speaking myself, my freedom is having the freedom of having my own thoughts, you know, having, yes, like I said, having my own thoughts, getting things done, not particularly the way that I want them done, but in the same sense, getting the way that I want them done. And then also having the freedom of being able to go out here and get things done the way that they need to be done. And now if your partner and everybody is on the same page and have the same goal, then yes, there is freedom within that relationship for everything. This is what I think. And then also in the same aspect, you know, like you said, people do change. You know, we get with someone, like say you have a straight path and you have your freedom, you have that and everything like that. When you choose to get with someone, you can either choose to change a little, not change yourself entirely, but change slightly to where you are building together as one to get to that same outcome or that same goal.
Yeah, but how many times has that not worked?
Every single time. Every time.
How many times has that not worked?
Every time.
You know what I mean? So one thing that you just said, you said, so what do you give up? You give up identity.
Yes.
So even in a relationship, you get in a relationship with someone, you are still two individuals, but you two have an identity.
Yes.
You both created one identity. When people talk about you and such, it's one identity.
And what happens to the female in that identity?
We melt. We adapt.
Yes, unfortunately.
But that's actually a superpower.
It is.
Being able to adapt is a superpower.
Yes.
But the thing is, where the system goes haywire is because you chose to adapt to something that wasn't for you.
Facts.
You said, oh, well, this is, you know, I'm feeling like this, I'm feeling like that, I'm feeling passionate, I'm feeling adventurous, and I just love this feeling. My heart is going bitty bump, bitty bump, bitty bump, bitty bump.
Yep.
And we stop and don't realize that the morals don't add up, or the faith factors, as I like to refer to them as. Faith factors.
Okay.
Don't line up. And a lot of times we get with others before we know ourselves. And what you think going on with them?
Okay, I see where you're going.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's like we
going.
created all of this momentum within our vibration to do this one thing. But we don't realize that we're heading into it 180 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So by the time we get there and we say, oh, no, this is not, I don't think this was good for me. We done already crashed head first into it.
Yeah, we did crash head first into it, but who's the person that's going to get us out of it? We are, exactly. Exactly.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, correct.
Unfortunately.
And that is the power, like you said in your book, there is the way that a woman is, regardless. A woman could be feminine, which is what she was, quote unquote, born to do, but women also possess that masculine power as well. Now, a male is born, they have that, the protector, the provider, and they have that power, but they don't have that soft nurturing type thing born within them at all.
I'm glad you said that.
And so that's what makes women versatile. So like you said, people, like, we can go 180 miles an hour and crash into a wall, but when we crash into that wall, are we going to stay there? Or are we going to work our way around it?
Okay, so two things. The first thing is, a lot of times we crash into the wall because we have built a future by ourselves and didn't even realize it. We just got into a situation and we started seeing all this potential of the situation, right. And we started building.
Right.
And he didn't. He's like, oh, well, let me see what she's going to do. But we're still building. And then we get upset and mad and we say, but we agreed to this. And you really kind of didn't.
Yep.
You just wanted to show how hard you could work. You know what I mean? Secondly, the thing with the duality that you brought up. So, you know, it was touched on in the book, as you said. We have access to masculine energy in order to push forward within life.
Right.
When we don't have support. That's our power pack. To not be emotional and to be more logical so that we can get things done.
Right.
Now, we go hard on a lot of men when we say, you know, oh, well, they're feminine, or, you know, these men are feminine. No, I won't really say that. They have just adopted a feminine code.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that one?
So everything now is monkey see, monkey do. A lot of people get their spirituality and their mental health advice from Instagram, Facebook memes.
Right. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
We need a bail, unfortunately.
Right.
So, with that being said, they look to those memes, that advice. And because women are running so many things right now, we are running culture. We are powering culture right now. They can't help but to adopt our code because they're brainwashed with it every day.
Okay, I see.
So it's like saying how guys say, "Oh, well, I'm not going to chase a woman." Well, if I'm not running, then what is there to chase? I'm asking to be pursued.
Right.
It's a difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference in maturity levels. If I'm not running anywhere, then how are you chasing me? But on the other hand, to be treated right is important. To feel that you matter is important.
That is facts. 100% facts.
And, you know, I can say just as well as women say, oh, a lot of men ain't nothing. Well, a lot of us ain't either.
That's true. Like
we've all had our moments. We've all fought fire with fire at some point.
Yep.
We have all, you know, lost our identity in relationships and places, and you know, had tantrum plans and came back and left and came back and left again and came back. You know what I mean? But I believe that as a collective, men and women, we have to start blurring that line to say, don't tell me what I need to be a great wife so that you can be a great husband.
Right. Yep.
That's too much pressure on me.
So everything falls on me,
right,
and you don't have to take responsibility for nothing.
Well,
type thing.
Let's go a step further. Because if I have to be great every day for you to be a great man to me, then what happens on that one day I'm not great?
So everything just crumbles.
And it's my fault.
Yep.
It's unfair, and like I said, it's really about blurring the lines. I'm not going to tell you to do this to be a good husband. I'm going to say if everyone does this thing, then we can get an equal and great result.
Cheers to that.
You know what I mean? Like, we have to find middle ground here. And it's kind of disgusting. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. It is. And it's a huge intimidation factor that people have in good situations.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You could have a great situation with a great person.
Mm-hmm.
And just because it got a little hard and it intimidated you a little bit,
you want to back out.
You will run away from
mm-hmm.
it. You will do your best to name every single thing that triggered you so that you can
have an excuse to leave.
Mm-hmm. No, we ain't even going to call it an excuse. We're just going to say to be able to...
I would call it an excuse because if it causes the person to run in the other direction, then that's an excuse because life is hard. Life is hard regardless because, I mean, let's just take the single mom for example. Now, excuse me, like you said, females have adapted to have that masculine power to push through, and the first thing that comes to my mind is single mothers. The single mothers have to play the mom, the dad, the chef, the maid, the chauffeur, everything, and have to do it with the smile on their face. And then also, so they have that energy, that power and everything like that. And then they have someone to come in, or the male figure to come in to try to, make everything easier. But now if you have that male energy coming in to try to tell you...
But how often is that domestic dynamic really true?
A lot.
Even with husbands in the home, she still does all of those things.
I'm just saying, like, to get... that is true, but
let's just call it what it is. Even with a man in the house, she will still do all of those things. The only difference is she's going to hug up with someone late at night.
Why though?
What?
Why though? Like, why does the female have to take on all of those roles? Is it because the male is supposedly coded to be the protector, the provider, and the supporter? Is that what the deal is? Because that's driving a lot. That's why a lot of women now are saying that they would not want to walk down the aisle with anybody. Because if I'm already doing this, and that, and you're not bringing anything to the table besides money, which I already got before you were here, and protection, which I clearly had before you were here. I mean, I could security cameras,
alive.
Like whatever. But I mean, if the woman has already got that covered, what is going to make her submit or succumb to this male presence when she already had that before he even came? That's what a lot of females are doing right now. Like, why should I have to bend over backwards for you, and you make me, like, I did all this shit before you came in, and then now you're just adding stress. You're not even helping, but you're just adding stress.
Because no one feels safe.
That's the sad truth. That's the sad truth.
No one feels safe.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's on guard. Everyone is so afraid of being vulnerable and being truthful and to just state what they need.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who are like that, and then there's also, like, successful women who aren't afraid to say what they need and stand on those terms as well. So you see, so let's say you see male CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, and then you see a female CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Who's going to get the most shit?
Oh, the female.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So the male can just be a male presence in a CEO of 500 company and no one messes with them. But a female has to work 10 times harder for that position, to keep that position, to stay in that position just because she's a female.
You know what? And we've heard that for years. But you know what I came up with that aspect? That's our fucking fault.
As far as
like
50,
like for me to say, okay, I'm coming into this company, right? And I know we kind of diverting a little bit, but for me to say I'm coming into this company and I got to work harder to make what he's making, right? Well, that's my fucking fault, because that's the power of negotiation at this day and age. We're not in, like you said, the 1950s anymore. It is not like it's not laws and things like that to protect us and for us to have equality and equal rights. Now, to some point, we're still on a slave reflex that tells us, oh, well, that's what they're offering you. Just make sure you keep it. Well, what are you fighting for?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yep. So don't get me wrong. Sometimes, yes, I'm riding with us all the way. Mm-hmm. But others, some of it is our fault. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of it is definitely you have to take the accountability and turn it into accomplishment.
Okay. As far as what type of accountability?
Meaning what you didn't do.
Okay.
Meaning the shame of what you didn't do.
Right. Okay.
So you sit in that shame of what you didn't do, and then you take that and you turn it into something great.
Okay. I see what you're saying. So that, I can take that as anybody actually. It doesn't even have a male or female essence to it. Anybody in a relationship.
Definitely.
If you sit here and think about I could have done this or I could have done that type thing, mm-hmm. and it eats away at you to where you feel like you're lost, or like you lost yourself in general.
Guilt and responsibility.
Yep, exactly. So that right there, okay, so speaking on relationship factors, if you say, okay, yeah, like I'm this strong, independent woman, like I have my own thoughts, I have my own mind and everything like that. So if you just suppress everything and keep your mouth shut, that's the accountability that you're talking about, is what I take it as.
Definitely. Oh, okay. I'm true victim to that one. Self-victim. Yes. Mm-hmm. But, a lot of people look at that as a toxic trait, right? To just shut down, not say anything. Mm-hmm. But for me personally speaking, I shut down because I don't want to wound you. I shut down because I don't want to tear you to shreds at that point.
So
I have to recenter,
right?
Calm down, think about things, mm-hmm. and then come back to you lovingly.
Okay.
I don't want to tear you to shreds. Now, if you're dealing with a person, or if you are a person that's shutting down just to avoid confrontations or avoid hard discussions or decisions, then technically you're really not toxic to anyone but yourself.
Right, yeah. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So
because that other person they don't have none of that information you have. Right. So they really don't have to care.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you're really just being toxic to yourself.
Yep, that's facts.
You know what I mean?
So if you're just being toxic to yourself, then what does it take to, I don't want to say walk away or regain your voice? Or just leave the relationship in general, because if it's not serving you as a purpose and you're just being toxic to yourself at that point, why can't females walk away? Or why can't anybody walk away in that instance? Is it because we want to try to get this person on the same path as us? Or is it because we see something that could build a future and we want this person or would like this person to have in the future?
We would like them to have what we see them having.
Right.
Which is not fair, number one.
Right.
Number two, we can't walk away because of the fear of the unknown. No one just gallops off to new beginnings bravely.
That is very true.
No one is going to volunteer to run off into a dark forest. You know what I mean? To go away from everything that you know and everything that you have learned. In order to walk away from anything, it's a unlearning process.
Right.
An unlearning sense of self and of the people around you. It's a very lonely start.
Oh, it is.
We're not going to say finish. It's start. It's a very lonely and dark start.
And I think that's why so many people stay where they're at, because, like you said, it's a very, very dark and lonely start. Depending on what situation you're in, could be darker, it could be whatever the case may be, but that start right there is what scares a lot of people, and a lot of people don't do it.
You know, I just used the analogy of running off into a dark forest, right? Mm-hmm. I don't fear change.
Okay.
I know how to shift my perspective on things. Once I make a decision, I'm firm in it and I'm off to the races.
Right.
So while some people will say, oh my God, no, I don't want to walk through this dark forest. It's just too scary. I just know I'm going to go in there and die. Mm-hmm. I think about, Well, I wonder what kind of tribes of people are in there.
And not a lot of people think like that.
I wonder what kind of berries are on these trees. Oh, wow. Yeah. This might be awesome. You know what I mean? So it's all about shift of perception. You know, you have to shift that. You have to constantly self-soothe yourself.
Right.
Into those changes.
I understand. Okay. Well, speaking on that, thank you for that. People, stay tuned for the next half so we can get into deeper conversation about what we were just talking about. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and we will see you soon.
Clink, clink, clink.
Clink. Welcome back to the second half of While We're Awake podcast with Concha. Thank you for having me on here as a guest. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you for being here. Believe.
I absolutely love your book, so I really want to talk more about that and everything. So you touched on quite a few different topics for people in general. About how they can, or how they lose themselves trying to, I don't really want to say please others, but it kind of seems like how people please others is where they lose themselves. Definitely. Type thing. And that's the part where I think people get lost.
Yeah.
And they get scared to move on to other things type thing.
Yeah. It's intimidating letting the people that you love down. Yeah. Or feeling like you're going to let them down. But the craziest part to me about it is you'll really be surprised at the response that you get when you really go after the life or the person or the career or, that you want.
Right.
Because people attract to that energy that you're giving out. So if you're giving out an authentic energy of that person, that place, that thing that you want,
right,
you will really be surprised with the support that you get.
That is very true, and I think that's that's where you say in your book where people, they live in private lives.
Private worlds. Yep. Our private world.
Yes, private worlds, and that's where the people get comfortable. I guess you could say it's them being comfortable, with being with this other person. So it kind of scares them a little bit to give off that energy of what they want or what they really, quote unquote, need or what they really want to go for.
There's no accountability in private worlds.
That is.
You can always move the goal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because whenever you're living in a private world, there are no set rules for you guys to go by. It's always a dominant and a submissive in a private world. So that dominant always has the chance or the choice of moving the goal line or changing the rules.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it can get really messy. Really messy. Private worlds are messy because when you are public, it holds you to a certain accountability. It holds you to a certain way of having to be.
Yes.
And when you don't have that, anarchy.
Right, yeah. Yes, that anarchy. Is true.
It's no order. It's no set way of the days to come.
Yes.
You will always take a gamble of how that day is going to be with that person in that private world.
And that's where, like I said, everyone gets lost. You get lost really, really quick in trying to people please, your partner in that private world to where you lose your sense of identity.
Definitely.
And you may suppress your goals, or you may jump to your goals and say, I don't know, leave your partner behind or leave him in the shadows or anything like that. But it's difficult. And that's where I think a big thing is communication.
Definitely. But a lot of people emphasize communication, but they don't emphasize the truth within the communication.
Yes. That's true.
Because you're going to get what you give. So I can tell you a story all day. And if your intuition is tingling and it's saying something isn't right about what she's saying, so I'm not going to get her the truth.
Right.
Because she's not giving me the truth. So we both going to play this game and see how it ends up.
And then that's exactly what it ends up being, a game.
Shit show.
Yep, shit show.
Shit show.
Yeah.
Shit show. By the way, if you are underneath 18, please click out of this because this is not the place for censorship. All right, back to the show.
But yes, that is 100% true. It turns into a big shit show. It turns into a lot of pointing fingers, a lot of blame shaming as well. And it's not a healthy environment for anyone to really grow.
No.
Which is exactly why the private world is not...
There are no seeds being planted.
Yes, exactly. So you can't plant a seed in a private world and expect the world out there to know what's going on.
Yeah, because the thing about it is you have this world here that's yours, right? You and this other person. But the dominant, 9 times out of 10, has other worlds orbiting you. So you're on this planet. And you believe that this planet is the reality. This is what's happening. This is what you're working towards. But you start to see inconsistencies with the plan. You start to see inconsistencies with that person, with the things that they're showing and saying. And it's like, hold on, this is not adding up. What's going on?
Yep.
Because you cannot be double-minded and live one life. You cannot be a double-minded person and live one life. Something or someone is going to suffer. You cannot be loyal to everyone.
That part.
You cannot be loyal to everyone. Because if you're loyal to everyone, you're lying to majority. Because everyone doesn't want the same things. So how can you be loyal to everyone and be true to yourself when you're constantly adjusting your moral code,
to fit
your ethic, your, who you are in the image of today? So there's no such thing as this loyalty thing. You know what I mean? Because I don't want the same things you want.
Exactly.
So how can I be loyal to you and to him and to someone else? No, I'm a different person every time.
Right.
I'm never the same.
Yep.
I'm constantly changing. But the thing is, I'm not changing to stay that way. I'm changing here, and then I'm coming over here, and then I got to change again because I pulled up on this street. And then I pulled up on another street. And I'm changing again. And then before you know it, I'm confused and I don't know who the hell I'm supposed to be. So now that I'm coming back and I forgot that I'm here and I'm acting like I'm on the other street.
Right. That is 100% true. And it's crazy because I recently came to this conclusion. I mean, I've thought it for a while, but it really actually hit me in my mind that you are your own person. I'm my own person. We have our own entire worlds outside of this. Just because we came here today to do this does not mean that you have this, that, the third, your struggles, your accomplishments, your tributes and tribulations, tribulations and tributes and everything.
Tribulations.
Yeah, thank you. You know what I'm saying.
It's okay. Clean, clean.
Cheers to that. But you have all of that to yourself, and I have all of that in my world. So like you were saying with your book, everybody, it's not even just a dominant person. Everybody has worlds around them that are orbiting. Everyone has all of these challenges that they're orbiting. So you pass somebody on the street, they have an entirely different life than what you have. So like you said, when two people come together, that's two completely different worlds.
Definitely.
That are trying to come together as one to take over the entire world.
Thank you. Facts. So this is my theory behind this. When two people come together, the idea is supposed to be for two sovereign people, right?
Right.
You have your life, I have my life. But when we come together, our souls dance. We create this beautiful energy, this beautiful dance, right? But where the dance gets interrupted is the ethics in everyday life.
I could say that.
It's the ethics. You have, even within love, you have to keep love ethical. Now, I'm not saying be some tyrant and you can't be you and you can't look at anyone else, or you can't hold a conversation with someone else, or you can't, be friendly.
Right.
But it has to be a ethic as to what you let be possible. Right. What you let in.
Yep.
As a what's the word I'm looking for? Leading on. You have to be careful of what you lead on with others. Yes. Because I'm a Libra, I'm a huge flirt, right? But the thing is, a lot of times, I'm not even flirting. I'm just being friendly.
Right, yes. That's the part that
I'm being friendly. Yes, I'm being friendly, right? Because a lot of people say, well, no, it's the way you look at people. And I'm like, how do I look? I was just
looking.
I thought I was looking through somebody, and they took it as, I want to get married. I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's because I'm friendly does not mean I'm going to say, hey, call me at 11 o'clock at night. Or I'm going to say, hey, message me tonight. Right. If I'm in a situation, or, if I'm dancing with someone.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I'm dancing with someone, it's not going to get interrupted.
Exactly.
So, but a lot of people are so afraid of what they look like. What they look like. You know what I mean? And the craziness about it is, like, you will have these macho, misogynistic men, right? And they'll say, oh, no, I'm not doing that. That's feminine, right? Or that's gay, right?
Way too many times.
But at the same time, you don't think that it looks very gay that you're not loving on me?
That part though, like, that's true. And that also, like,
how?
That part ties into also, like, males, like you just said, like, this macho, masculine male,
I ain't gonna lie though, I love them.
Yeah. I love them too.
I love them.
But those type of people, they don't tap into that feminine energy. So, like, to put an example to it, single fathers or fathers in general who are really active in their kids' lives. They, say they have a little girl, and the little girl wants to do a tea party or play princess or anything like that. The guy does this, and then other people, you so feminine. Like, why you gotta act like that? Like, why you gotta do this? And they said that's just an example. But there's other things in life that are like that, and that's why guys don't really succumb to that type of energy, and it's off-putting to a lot of people, and that part right there is what confuses a lot of things.
They can only access that energy when they're with a woman within that energy. So
where it feels,
even though we have that masculine side to survive,
right?
They access the divine when they deal with a woman with that divine feminine energy.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So it's like a blessing. Like, you would, no, seriously, straight up. I'm about to tell you why. I'm about to tell you why. It's their blessing. Because you will see a man that's truly in love, and he is shocked at the fact of how much he loves this woman. And, oh my God, I have never felt this way before. We have felt these feelings from children. We know what love feels like starting from Disney. You know what I mean? So we have felt these feelings. They haven't.
A lot, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, they did everybody wrong.
Not just good.
Did you see where the one chick had posted?
Oh boy.
That each one of the princesses represented a different mental disorder?
Yes, I did see that. Yes, I did.
That was That was so mind-blowing to me. And it made sense.
It does.
I was like, but yeah, you talk, yeah.
It does. And it's crazy to think all of that, though, because we are programmed.
We were
Programmed. Males as well as females. Programmed from a young age to think like this. And to have that rationality.
I haven't seen a lot of knight in shining armors. I don't.
Right. So, I mean, it's just...
I'm pretty sure if someone slay a dragon for me, I will just fucking melt.
But also in that same aspect, no, they represent those knight in shining armors. Okay, yes, you slayed this dragon for me. But what else can you do outside of that?
But the only real dragon that you can slay for me is me feeling safe. It's an emotional dragon. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To let me know that you don't have to overthink this. You're fine. We're fine. You know, any questions you have, I have no problem with answering that. Oh, I hurt you? Yes, I understand. You're going to keep coming back to me for answers as to why I hurt you. But it's my job to answer those because I hurt you. The whole accountability factor. Right. But we can go back into the guilt and responsibility factor. Some people experience that guilt and they sit in it and they run away from making things right.
I see that.
Some people take responsibility of those actions and they run towards the solution.
Right. And that's
But everyone cannot sit in that shame. Everyone cannot get out of that ego to have the things and the people and the places that they want to be in.
Right. And that's a damn shame.
It's sad.
It's a damn shame. It's for both males and females in the same aspect.
It's sad.
I mean, like, I know personally, I can be stubborn as hell. I know that for a fact. I admit to that wholeheartedly.
Because when I just know what I know, it's what it is.
But also in the same aspect, like, I'm stubborn as hell in the fact that I take accountability for my fucked up actions. Like, I can understand that what I did was wrong, and even if someone were to check me about it, like, yes, you're right. What I did was wrong. I can account to that. I take full responsibility for it and everything like that. How are we going to move forward with that information?
Where I started falling short at what the accountability factor was, I tried to explain my position behind it. Okay. Because it's not me trying to run away from whatever that was done. It's me trying to explain the fact to you that this wasn't a malicious thing.
Right.
That this wasn't intentional. And I want you to understand how I'm processing things so that we can get on the same wavelength. Right. So that you can say, okay, well, if she falls short here, I know that this is not who she is or how she think. Yeah, it hurt me, but I know that this is not what she meant to do. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I had to learn to do the you now. I'm wrong. You right. Okay. You know what I mean? Because when people are hurt, they don't want to hear the explanation.
Right? Yeah, I mean, like,
they don't want to hear how and why and when you came up to this conclusion. And
see, like, I do though. Like, that's the difference. Like, that is the difference
with men and women. And I will say that. I will say that because when a man is in that mode, he's not tolerant. He's not forgiving. He has to go through all these logical processes first. We're emotional first. They're logic first. So he has to break down all these logical processes before he can get back to forgiving and loving. Well, loving then forgiving. Okay, because a lot of times we make love before we forgive. But
that is true. That is very true. But also, like, in the same sense, like, if women are labeled as emotional creatures, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if it's emotion or if it's passion, because I mean, like, you still that goes.
They're one and the same.
Yeah, that goes both ways.
They're one and the same.
Men and women, emotional or passionate. Genuinely, I want to grow as a person. So if you're gonna come to me with constructive criticism, then by all means, I am all ears. Let's figure this out. Let's do this. Let's do that, and everything like that. But if you're coming at me, attacking me, and telling me that I'm wrong or it needs to be this way and this way, no, sir.
So let's lay the spirit aspect back into that.
Mm-hmm.
When you two are both moving towards feelings that feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he first met you, you were at your apex. You were feeling good. You were vibing high. You were looking good. You was enjoying life. You know, everything was popping. Right?
Right.
You chose not to focus on any sadness.
That is facts. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you get together and the system goes haywire. Both of you are focusing on sadness. Everything that's not right.
That's negative.
Everything that you're missing.
Right.
That you can't even focus on what you want. And the dizzy part about it is you both really want the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's too much ego just to let it happen. You cannot both want the same thing and then you create a contrasting thought to that want.
I see what you're
It's like you have to trust the process.
Yeah.
It's like saying, oh, I want to go shopping for a new pair of shoes. And then I say, oh, no, but they're going to have the same shoes they had there last week. But you just so happen to go for that new pair of shoes. And a brand new store just opened up yesterday that you didn't know nothing about. You follow that want.
Yep.
Follow that passion because that's going to constantly lead you to where you're supposed to be. Anytime you follow that passion, that love, that drive, it is going to guide you into who and where you're supposed to be and with.
That is facts.
And we lose sight of that even within relationships.
Everybody loses sight of that. And I mean, I don't want to say in relationships in general because a lot of relationships...
Any relationship.
Like friendships, relationships, and everything like
romantic, any relationship.
That's true.
Because someone always ends up codependent. Someone always ends up... in any relationship aspect, there's always a dominant and a submissive.
There is, and there's also, I've done a lot of different types of research on different types of things and different types of topics. People, I want to say they, like you saying, they do lose themselves in those types of things, but also, like I said, going back to communication as well. Getting on the same page with that, because if you get into a relationship where it's prosperous, where your partner is, they're a go-getter and they want all these things and want to be successful and everything like that, and you've always been that, I want to say, Debbie Downer type thing, then it's not going to work. That's where a toxic relationship takes place. When they're not on the same page. When one person wants to grow, like you said, there's one person who's a dominant, there's one person who's a submissive. Right. But if you're both working towards the same goal, if you both want growth, then...
Because that's an unequal exchange. Yeah. It's an unequal exchange. Because if you have a dominant and a submissive, right? Because that's what most relationships turn into.
Right.
When you first meet, you're not that. You're both on the same accord. You're both walking side by side. Those souls are dancing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But somewhere down the line, one person wants to be saved and one person wants to be the savior. Put a cape on them.
And
you know what I mean?
That's a toxic relationship.
And then that's when it becomes detrimental. Because no one is sovereign anymore. I'm not pushing you to be sovereign. You're not pushing me to be sovereign. And we meet in the middle. We come back and we rendezvous and do that same dance after we have been our own selves. It's so much codependency right now that it's running rapid like a plague. And it's so ugly. And it puts so much pressure on everything everything and everyone around us to where we bust.
Mm-hmm.
We bust. Mm-hmm. Like, you cannot highlight communication, but you don't know what to communicate. You're not communicating anything that's consistent.
Right.
You just have a bunch of scattered shit that you're throwing everywhere. One day you're throwing this out, the next day you're throwing that out. How can you be comfortable and safe and stable with someone that doesn't know what the message is? Even within the middle of all of this brainstorming, brain vomit shit that everyone does, it's still supposed to be like when you do the brainstorm diagrams.
Yep.
It's a main message, right? And then you have all of these other little points that's coming off of it.
That pertain.
But if that middle is blank, but you have all of these little dust clouds around this blank middle, then how can I feel comfortable enough or safe enough or loving enough? I don't know what to love about you.
And that's also where you need to find it within yourself, because you can't truly love somebody or be a partner to anybody or even be in a friendship with anybody if you don't,
without identity.
Exactly. If you don't know yourself, like you said, if you have this bubble here and you got all these ideas towards this blank bubble, what are you doing? What exactly are you doing?
Experimenting.
Nothing. Yeah. Experimenting for what?
Experimenting with yourself and others around you.
To find what?
Manipulation. That's what's in the middle of the brainstorm diagram.
That's what you leave yourself open to?
Yeah, that's what it is. Because without a common message and you have everything else around it, what else can you call it? We're just going to fill that in right there.
You know, cheers to that.
Yeah, clink,
cheers to that.
Clink, clink, clink. And that's the power to drop the mask whenever. But I want to thank you so much for being here. This was such a great talk. And this was my very first podcast. You know, I was scared shitless. Thank you for being here with me.
I enjoyed being here. I love your message. I read your book. I can relate to a lot of things in your book, and I think a lot of people can actually relate to everything that's in your book. So I feel like it's very, very empowering.
Thank you.
I absolutely love being here talking about it.
Thank you. So everyone, please go check out the book While We're Awake on Apple Books and Amazon Kindle, and also join me midnight Tuesdays for While We're Awake podcast. I thank you guys for being here. I really hope that the talk was great for you guys, that it was a blessing to your day, and that you got something out of it. It's all love.
If you have any comments about next week's episode,
definitely
drop them.
Yep, see, she got me today. She got me. Clink, clink. She got me.
Clink.
Okay, so another thing, lastly. If you have any questions, comments, or anything that you would like to be addressed on the show, please email them to whilewe'reawakepodcast@gmail.com. We will get back with you and hopefully even have you on the show. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being here with me. Big hug.